Not yet.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Elick.
Here.
Mr. Gebhardt.
Here.
Ms. Karstafen. Here. Mr. Hauser.
Here.
Mrs. Segwin. Here.
Would everybody please stand and join us in I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and welcome to the September 20th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. I'd like to introduce our group up here. To my right is Board Member and Vice President Mike Gebhardt. To his right is Board Member Elaine Sequin. I'm Greg Elick. To my left is Board Member Annie Karstafen. To her left is Board Member Len Hauser. Further on the left is our Superintendent Ann Slosh, and all the way down in the end is our Treasurer Colleen Hamels. Okay, we do have a sign up today. We do not have any presentations, but we do have visitor comments. So Dawn is signed up, and Dawn, if you'd like to come down, and I think the microphone is on. We're all ready for you.
Yes. What are we on?
I think it's on.
No, I don't think it's on.
No.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
There it is.
I have to hold that away a little bit. Honestly, the first thing I wanted to start with is more of the economic and finances part of this. Obviously, I said something last year that we should be smarter, tighten budgets, like really look at things and consider things with everything that's coming. And I think a year later, I don't think things are much better from last year. I think they're worse than last year. I know that that's not maybe what everybody's saying, but that's not the way things feel. I think everybody's feeling the pinch, everybody's paying more, everybody's taxes, everybody's insurance, everybody's food costs, everything is going up, and I think we all feel it, no matter what anybody says. So I just want to talk about that because I know the financial report is coming out soon, and I know that you guys said that in the next few years that we're going to be coming up short, even if the levies do pass. So again, do whatever we can to mitigate what we know is coming, even if, like I said, it's hard for me to even conceptualize our country having another Great Depression because I can't even though I can see everything happening and I can understand it, like I still just can't believe it. It's just really hard. And I want you to know why, it's not just the news is why I know this is happening, it's because in the last one, like I said, in 2008, this is like deja vu. It's different because it's worse this time, but it is deja vu. And I know it because the neighborhood I talked to you guys about in Chicago, I ran a building there for almost 10 years. My uncle put it into hock like everybody does, take a lot of money out of your properties when times are good and everything's worth all this money they tell us, and you do that and you spend it and you have a real good time, and then boom. So I got the boom, the back taxes, the building falling apart, the mess. So for 10 years I fought and struggled and did what I could, and on the week that my refi was coming for the balloon mortgage, which they told me I had, they told me I didn't have it. And they said that I had the two options, to pay the $650,000 balloon mortgage, which I didn't have, not even close, or sell the building. So, and I think that's the position they put a lot of people in. They get us desperate, they get us needing money, we refi money, we lose things. And really that's his fault. And that's not the point of this. It's the point that what the bank did behind my back is the point of this speech, is they shopped my building before it was ever even for sale. They knew that they weren't gonna give me the loan even when they told me they were gonna give me the loan. And the reason I know this is because one of the men owns the grocery stores and some restaurants and some laundromats on the same 26th Street. He's a very, very rich man on our block, and he was one of the ones looking at my building in the winter when it wasn't for sale until summer. And I didn't know that until we had a conversation. I said, well, that's interesting because it wasn't even for sale back then. And he kind of just looked at me and said, oh, because, that's, oh. So like I said, as everything happens and people maybe lose things or lose everything, I just want to say this as well. Money's not really that important. And I know that sounds like a sob story, but honestly, I'm very grateful for that. It taught me a lot, and it's why I see everything that I see now that some people maybe don't see, or I'm very grateful. It made me a simple person. It made me not materialistic. It made me simplify life and not care about debt. It also made me a person that would never take a mortgage from a bank in my life. So I think these are the things that we need to teach these kids today, which is why I talk about finances and I talk about the financial part of the education that we really need to teach these kids better, because they don't know. And they don't understand the history until they're 30, 40, 50 years old and they've been through these cycles a few times like we have, and we've seen the same thing kind of repeat itself every decade or so. So I just wanted to say that, and just do what you can with your budget, because hard times are coming, and believe me, it's hard for me to see it too, but I know it's coming whether I want to believe it or not, and as hard as I pray that it doesn't, I think we just need to be ready. The second part I wanted to talk about was from last week. I just wanted to add a few comments to the gentleman's speech last week about the LGBT History Month and all that type of stuff, because I think everybody kind of made him seem a little bit like he was a little disheveled with his comments, and I just wanted to maybe help clear that up a little bit. I really don't care. If you want to take hormones, if you want to have surgeries, if you want to, everybody can do what they want to do. I don't care. But when your student last year made a speech and he made a few comments and he talked about the 40% suicide rate amongst the transgender LGBT community, and I didn't say anything about it then, but in my head it struck a chord that yes, that's a true statistic, but it needs a little bit more explanation around it. A lot of that number tends to be in larger cities, party atmosphere, drug atmosphere. That's just Chicago, New York. I don't think that's just an LGBT thing. I think that's just an everybody thing. You party more when you live in the city. You just have more access to things. And I can't tell you, it's not a lot of fun. I love Chicago. I really do. I was actually there for a month and a half this summer, and it's hard to see what's happening to it, but at the same time, I loved being home. It was home. So my point with the 40% is, like I said, a lot of it has to do with that, which I think has to do with lifestyle, choosing, being smart with how many partners you're with, if you're doing drugs, if you're doing a lot of that type of stuff. So, and also with the 40% suicide rate, I think we don't consider the other side of transgender surgeries and stuff like that, which is some of the horror stories that people go through as a result of these surgeries. Because that's kind of the side I've started to heard. Everybody has two sides of the story. Some people are very happy with their results, and other people are disfigured forever. And there's nothing they can do about it at that point. It's just done. They've been mutilated. And we all know that plastic surgery doesn't always go the way that we want it to. So I think that also contributes to a 40% suicide rate, because if you're disfigured or you're defecating out of what's supposed to be a vagina, or you let from what I know, I'm trying to be as less graphic as I possibly can, to keep the opening for a male, you have to keep it dilated, and if you don't do these things, then it closes up and you have nothing. So you just have nothing. So again, I think this has a lot to do with, mental health and this, that, and a lot to do with that 40% suicide rate. So before we, do the LGBTQ History Month or any of these things, I think we talk about, and if we ever talk about these things or implement these things into our school, because I'm not sure that we have, that we talk about the whole story and we talk about the whole side of what can possibly be the outcome of the situation. Because I think a lot of people go in with big hopes and dreams, and some people's dreams get shattered, and that makes suicide happen, and that shouldn't happen to anybody no matter what. So yeah, I just wanted kind of to add that to what he was saying, because I think it's important. And like I said, you guys had a former student last year talk about it, and he mentioned the 40%, and I just wanted to elaborate on it a little bit more, that it's not like people are just going out there and blatantly hurting people because they are a certain gender association. I don't think that's it. I think everything has more than one side to the story. So I just wanted to put that out there too. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dawn. Okay, so that is it for the visitor comments. We'll move along on the agenda. The August 2nd, 2023 minutes have been posted. Hopefully the board members have had a chance to review. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as posted? So, A motion by Board Member Gephardt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Sequin. Any comments or questions? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin? Aye. Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
Mr. Hauser?
Aye.
Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries. Madam Treasurer, you have action items for us this evening?
I do. I have the monthly financial statements to approve, student activity purpose statements to approve, and a couple donations.
Kinnetown.
Thank you. And St. Jude parents, they donated school supplies. So one was for the communication department and one was for Special Olympics, so thank you for that.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the treasurer action items?
So moved.
I have a motion by Karstoffen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Hauser. Any comments or questions? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
Mr. Hauser?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin? Aye. Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries. Okay, Madam Treasurer, you have some appropriations for us this evening?
Yes, I have the permanent appropriations for approval, transfer, and transfer of funds. Those are the two items.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the two treasurer other items?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Gebhardt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Karstoffen. Comments or questions? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
Mr. Hauser?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin? Aye. Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries. Any other reports for us this evening, Madam Treasurer?
I have a small report, but an important one. The district finished their refinancing and the refunding of the bonds. And with the new Series 2023, we had over $1 million savings for the taxpayers, $1,003,976. That will be collected less taxes, and in turn will be savings for the taxpayer.
Great, that's
Wonderful.
outstanding.
Wonderful.
Always good news when we hear those sort of numbers, so great. Nice job on that, so we appreciate all your help on that. Okay, that's it for the treasurer. We'll move along on the agenda to the superintendent. Madam Superintendent, you have action items for us this evening.
I do. Thank you so much. First of all, to declare the impracticality of providing transportation to the following pupils. Also to approve the overnight field trip for our, I can't believe we're talking basketball already, but for our boys basketball team for a scrimmage in Findlay. To approve the interagency agreement for the 23-24 school year as detailed below, or in the enclosure, and that concludes my action items.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's action items?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Sequin and a second by Board Member Karstoffen. Any comments or questions? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Segwin? Aye. Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Hauser?
Aye.
Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries. Madam Treasurer, you have personnel action items for us this evening.
I do. First of all, to approve the retirement of the following certified staff. We have 3 teachers here, Chris Pecos, Laura Preston, and Deb Raycar. They all have 33 or 34 years Wow. of service, so we wish them well. They've all been wonderful members of the Pioneer team. Also to approve the unpaid leave of absence for the following certified staff members. To approve the appointment of the following certified staff. And we, just so you know, are getting quite a few calls about sub-teaching with the addition of our associate degree or 48 hours of post-secondary.
How many are we up to?
We're at 44 with a number still in the queue for background checks and permits to issue.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
There should be more on the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Great, that's good news.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also to approve the supplemental contracts is listed below. To approve the revision of the one athletic supplemental contract. To approve the cancellation of the following supplemental contract. And to approve the resignation of the following classified staff members. To approve the retirement of the following classified staff. And Isla had 24 years in the district. To approve the appointment of the following classified staff, and that concludes my personnel action items.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's personnel action items?
So moved.
Motion by Board
Second.
Member Hauser, second by Board Member Gebhardt. Any comments or questions? Are we awake up here at all? Okay. Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Hauser.
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt.
Aye.
Ms. Karstafen.
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin.
Aye.
Mr. Elick.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, Madam Superintendent, do you have a superintendent's report for us?
I do. First and foremost, kudos to the communication department. As you can see, our new calendar's out, and gosh, you gotta love that right up
Yeah,
front,
very
right?
cute.
But it's just a wonderful collection of students, which we all love looking at and seeing, and kudos to Amy and her team, Marty and Adrian, they do a phenomenal job in putting that together. Also, yesterday, it's just one of those days, you just love to go see the unified athletic teams, but we were at Amherst High School watching our team do a pretty good job putting the rest of the teams out of commission. We had our flag football. So if you look on social media, you'll see some of it, but just so great to watch the smiles on their faces and wonderful experience. Also, Apple Fest, 600 dozen cookies went very quickly. Wow. Kudos to Aramark and especially Dee Dee, and to the Colleen and Courtney who delivered all those cookies to us. But wonderful job and earning money for students. We put that money right back into student needs. Also, the Apple Art winners, we had wonderful collection of artists that our art teachers, I think Mr. Rainey presented awards to them, and great Apple art. Also, it was a very busy weekend. We had the Special Olympics golf outing. We won't say who won. And also the Parade of Bands on Saturday. So both very, very nice turnouts. I think 28 teams, 28 foursomes out at Carlisle. And also the Parade of Bands, there were 7 bands there from around. And it was a very, I know Elaine, you were there. It was a very nice show. Kind of chilly, but very nice. And then I wanted to mention our cross-country team. We're hearing a lot of accolades. I have on my schedule to go on September 30th to go see them run. But a lot of youth and the team is growing, and they're doing a phenomenal job. A lot of placers. So look forward to what's to come with our cross-country team. And Mr. Chismar and I think Grace Latham from the high school are the coaches. So kudos to them, and that is all I have right now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Okay, moving along on the agenda to the Board of Education items. One announcement, we just want to state that the public auction for Windsor is at October 10th.
Correct.
October 10th, and that will be led by, I believe our attorney, Howard Lane, will be handling that, and I believe there's been notices in the paper and everything that's required for that, correct? And that is the only property being auctioned at this time.
At this time.
Just the Windsor property, okay. Quick question here. I've been approached a number of times asking about the trees at Eastern Heights. I don't know if Mr. Gebhardt has too. So we were talking about getting a second opinion there. I think we already did.
We did, and we sent an email
Right.
from the arborist, yeah.
So are we planning more and doing something in there? Is there a plan or anything for that at this time or no?
No, the current plan was just to remove the diseased and damaged trees, and that's done,
Okay.
including the stumps ground out. The current tree canopy coverage of the property meets city requirements, so they did not require any additional
Okay.
trees to be planted, and we have not discussed anything further beyond.
So at this time, there are no plans to
There are no
plant more
plans.
trees then, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
On that note, I walk over there all the time. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to be. The trees are spread out enough that you don't really notice they're gone.
Okay, well, that's good, because I was asked a couple times in the last few weeks if we're going to be planting new trees over there, so. Any other board comments or items for the good of the
I
cause?
just have one question. I had a former student, matter of fact, from the very first class of Prospect, that wanted to know if we were giving away bricks, or she cried. So I told her I would definitely find out if there are bricks for Prospect Elementary.
No bricks.
Nothing there.
No, it's all,
I thought they were set out. I'll have to find out more information.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or
Yeah,
questions?
I read somewhere that the kids had to take a personal finance class. Is that something new?
We've always, so there's just a requirement, it has to be taught in isolation, and it can no longer be part of the economics course. Good thing is, Elyria already did that, so no change for us.
Okay, good.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Okay, moving along on the agenda then. The last thing we have is an executive session, request an executive session to confer with attorney for the Board of Education concerning disputes involving the board and possible litigation that are subject to pending or imminent court action as authorized by Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22, with possible action to follow. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Karstoffen?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Hauser?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin? Aye. Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries. We are off to executive session.